Have you heard about the Melbourne market? Have you heard about Sunbury? We're going to click over to ADRIAN SAACO shortly. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael BURGIO, Mark Novak, and special guest ADRIAN SAACO from one agency in Sunbury. We always talk about sort of the Sydney market, but we never really get to talk about the Melbourne market. And a lot's happened to the Melbourne market the past year, and we've talked about the growth and where the Sydney market is at the moment. So it's going to be good to have ADRIAN on to talk about probably the past quarter. We probably don't want to go too back into COVID land. I think we were sort of at the end. But basically, since you reopened up, and you mentioned that you guys just came off a really, really strong quarter. Welcome, ADRIAN.
How are you? How are you, Michael? How are you, Mark?
Good.
Tell us a little bit, buddy.
Where you work, what do you do, and how's real estate up there, down there?
Okay, so for those who don't know, the Sunbury market's just about 15 k's north of Melbourne Airport, or 15 minutes, 20 k's. It's the gateway, so we're on the border of regional and metro Melbourne. So we're the gateway to the Macedon Ranges. It's some fantastic wine country, but more importantly, we're in a high growth corridor in the northwest of Melbourne.
Beautiful. And what type of properties? Like, I'm just showing an aerial view, and it looks like you're surrounded by farmland, and then you've got a big industrial market and a lot of homes. So do you have is it safe to say you've got everything?
We absolutely do have. We've got land that goes from over 100 acres right down to blocks that are less than 300 square metres. So it's a very diverse range. For those who don't know, Sunbury was the birthplace of the Ashes. So the first Ashes game was played on the Rupertswood Oval here in Sunbury.
That's it.
Wow.
I like that.
And why would somebody move to Sunbury?
Well, the affordability of inner Melbourne's actually gone through the roof now. The closer you get in, as you know, Sydney's no different. The blocks get smaller, a lot of apartment living, townhouse living. So COVID really re-established a difference of what people wanted in properties. And I noticed a really big shift very early on from people wanting to get out of the townhouse part of the market, the smaller blocks, get back to the great Australian dream of a big block, big backyard, and move out to areas where there was more walking tracks, more recreational facilities, mostly because they realised that they missed that during COVID. So it drove an influx of people coming into Sunbury, because Sunbury's still 32 minutes on the line into Melbourne's Southern Cross railway station. You can get a V line, or you can get a metro train in. Now the thing is the price point in, say, the next suburb down, which you could say is that Taylor's Lakes Hillside area, the median price for a while there was about $250,000 difference. So people could come, move out, newer house, bigger block, and essentially either save money or seriously upgrade.
Nice. And you guys actually have electricity there and internet?
Last time I checked, the electricity was all right. You know, we get flickers every now and then, but it's not too bad. And, you know, the gas, that arrived some time ago. And we've recently upgraded to 5G. So we're getting there.
Beautiful. Now, tell us your price points. I'm just doing...
And everyone, anyone who's listening, Michael BURGIO is going to be very biased because he's actually from Melbourne. So it's two Victorias against one New South Wales going on at the moment. So if there's any jabs, you'll understand why, everyone.
I was commenting off air about just how organised and looking down at an aerial view of Melbourne is compared to Sydney. Sydney's like basically someone did it on LSD, and Melbourne's like someone who did it sober. So... Adrian, run us through your price points. Like, people, when you say big block, what are we talking about? What's an apartment cost? what does a small entry-level house cost? What is a luxury on maybe a big block of 1,000 square meters? Just so people can put it in perspective who are listening from Sydney.
Okay, so if we start through the land, if you can find a quarter acre of land, you're going to be paying $530 to $550 thereabouts. Now, the smaller blocks in a lot of the estates are being priced in the 300s, early 300s. That'll basically get you somewhere between 4 to 480 square metres of land. As you go through the price points, this is the interesting thing that's in Sunbury. Now, because you can get into the market as a first home buyer, and you can actually easily get into a 3-bed, 2-bath, double car garage home for under 600,000, you can understand the attraction of people wanting to move there because they get to keep, they don't pay stamp duty because we, up until, if you're a first home buyer in Melbourne, the stamp duty, you don't pay stamp duty up to 600, then there's a bit of a pro rata after that. So it's a highly contested price point at the moment. What that has actually done is moved the very, what I call the bottom end, the homes that need to be renovated, that were probably sitting in the high 3s, low 4s, are now coming in towards the 500 mark. Because there's still a bit of upside for someone to come in and actually renovate, especially if they're a first home buyer, get into the market, spend a bit of money, take a bit of capital growth, and then get out and upgrade or get to what they want. Also, in the Sunbury market, driving a lot of activity, there's a lot of new developments in Sunbury. So Sunbury's got a whole new South Sunbury precinct that's under development with a number of estates. There's 4 big estates just in that one area of that precinct.
Because you said off air there's 45,000 dwellings, so that's huge. For anyone,
that's half the Northern Beaches.
Michael, the population is about 45,000. It wouldn't be 45,000
population. Okay. Yeah. And how many dwellings do you reckon?
Yeah, and the population is expected in probably the next 5 to 10 years, it'll be well in excess of the mid-60s.
Wow. So expecting good growth. And what type of rental return? So you said a house for $500K. Is that renting for $25,000 a year or $500 a week or
probably about 20?
20. Okay. Nice.
And
depending on the condition of the home.
And you mentioned first home buyers. I know it's a little different to New South Wales. Did yours change? Like ours changed to basically accommodate up to $1 million. I know our price points are different. So what first home buyer schemes do you have? Do you just have the no stamp duty? Do you have the 5% deposit? That was nationwide.
The 5% was nationwide. So that's all been exhausted. That I think drove a lot of activity at the bottom end of the market. Because that drove activity at the bottom end of the market, people started to take advantage. There was a 25%, or still is a 25% stamp duty discount now on private dwellings. So what that's actually driving now is people are doing the upgrade. So traditionally, the $1 million mark was a magic price point in Sunbury. That was essentially the top end of the market was at 1 to 1.3. Now, since the beginning of the year, there's been 2 sales in excess of 2 million in the area. We set the new benchmark at 2.2 about 8 weeks ago with a property on 5,600 square metres of land. That was the first time a property ever in Sunbury broke the $2 million price barrier.
Wow.
Yeah, well, and Adrian, different to Sydney, the last 10 years of like Victoria or particularly Sunbury, like in Sydney, our property values go up every 10 years. They double. Have you guys? How's capital growth been? That wasn't a jab, by the way. But how's capital growth been in Sunbury, for example? Have you seen double as well, or how's that going?
Yeah. I would. Well, I'll give you an example. I got into real estate 7 years ago. Now, when I got into real estate 7 years ago, the bottom of the market was the mid-200s.
Yep.
Right. That bottom of the market today is close to 480,000, 500,000 is where it is. I bought my first home in Sunbury for 96,000 in 1996. That home today would sell on the market for 580,000.
Yeah, so 20 years old. Yeah. So I think, and that sort of goes with what we see a lot in Sydney, and it's with property. It really doesn't matter where you buy, as long as you buy.
Correct.
Obviously, there's always good buys within a market, like on that side of the street, or that's a better house. But if you just do the helicopter view and you're just like, what's that area's capital growth over 3 years, 15 years, or that area, you're very, very close to each other all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about job-wise? Do you have a big sort of industrial market? Where are people working? Because you're quite a way. Well, you're far from the city. Well, many people wouldn't commute down into the city, would they?
Yeah, no, we've got a large.
Well, how far is that? It probably looks far on a map. That'd be at least 40 minutes an hour.
No, if you take the V Line train, you can be in town in 35 minutes.
Oh wow! So that's Melbourne. Great transport. I just totally forgot.
Yeah, and so we got 2 train services. We've got the V Line, which does a pick up in the morning and the evenings, because we're right on the as I said, that on the border of metro country. We've got the Metro Rail ends in Sunbury. Okay, so if you take one of the trains that stops all the way, probably take you a bit longer, maybe another 8 or 10 minutes to get in. We've got 2 major access freeways that maybe not in peak hour, but certainly out of peak hour, you'd be in town in 35 minutes. In peak hour, depending when you're going, you'll still be under an hour though. So we've got a lot of commuters. Now, our proximity to the airport means a lot of people that live in Sunbury and the surrounding area work at the airport. We have a lot of pilots. We have a lot of people involved in infrastructure that's around the airport and businesses that support the airport, catering, hospitality. Yeah. So it's been so that part of the population was significantly hit during COVID.
Yeah.
And look, not being competitive or anything, like with Sydney, but have you got anything like a harbour or a is there water sports? Like, is there like a lake there, or what do people get up to on a weekend? So, is it a horsey place? Is it like a golfy place, or is it everything?
A lot of people, there's a lot of rural activity in terms of your horse riding is definitely a thing. A lot of what I'd call recreational exercise, recreational. So there's a lot of walking trails. We're the gateway to one of the best wine regions out of Melbourne. One of Melbourne's hidden gems. Yep. So you can get to the Heathcote region quite easily. The Macedon region's got some fantastic wineries, as does Sunbury. A lot of people will travel in. Sport's a big part of the town.
Yep. AFL.
AFL, soccer, basketball, number of dancing studios, well supported in that area.
Yeah.
You'd be very good in the dancing studios, Adrian.
Have you seen me? You've seen me dance, mate. That's not a pretty sight.
I was just going
So Adrian, just for people to know, just before we close up, so Sunbury, there's your price points. There's your first home buyers, investors, capital growth. It's a great lifestyle by the sounds of it. It's been done very well. It's a really good population that you've got. Now, if someone's interested in buying, we're going to whack your details in here, or even selling. We're going to whack your details in here. Do you service any other area other than Sunbury?
Yeah, so we service the Macedon Ranges, Gisborne, Riddles Creek, and what I'd call our cousin in Diggers Rest. They're the main areas that we, as a business, we're focusing on today.
I tell you what I love, if you just think of it, I just put your website link in there, but compare that to Sydney, Mark, to buy an entry-level house for $500K within 35, 40 minutes to the city. Doesn't happen.
Don't be aggressive, Michael. It's very aggressive.
You want to know?
There's still tremendous growth in Melbourne, is the point.
Absolutely. And if you have a look at this location, and that's why I think we're experiencing such significant growth at the moment. Like as I said, the last quarter we've experienced in excess of 14% growth in a quarter in capital values. That the reason for that is exactly if you draw a circle, 35k rent circle around Melbourne, not too many places you can get what we've got here in Sunbury. You can't get certainly won't get as much open land.
Well, if you go further east, it just gets more expensive. So you're in that little pocket.
Yeah.
Chatston Ways.
And Adrian, we're going to put the address in as well for you. Your favourite buy in Sunbury this week. What address?
Favourite buy would be one that's about to hit the market, 49 Jackson Street.
It doesn't help us. It's a link. One that's on the market.
Oh, okay. Well, that one's going on the market later today, but the other one would have to be 42 Light Horse Circuit in Sunbury. Beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, only 18 months old, dressed up to the nines. It's a high-end boutique home.
42. Oh, Light Horse Circuit, 729, 779. Look at
That's
this.
correct. Absolute cracker of a...
We'll throw that link in. Not that we want people to leave Sydney or the northern beaches, but we don't want to have our blinkers on and not know about different parts of the Australian market. Today, there you go. There's Melbourne, there's Sunbury, and there's the expert Adrian SAACO.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, Adrian.
That's been absolutely pleasure, boys. See you on the bike ride again soon.
Yes, definitely. And let's go up to Sydney. Cheers.
Yeah, I'll be
there.
I'll see
Thanks,
you in about
Age.
4 weeks.
We'll see you soon. Yeah, definitely.